Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. I'm your host, Jason Armstrong, and coming to you after LSU finished up a pretty good week where they won 3 of 4 games. Started with a midweek win against McNeese, and then got 2 games of the 3 against number 15 Alabama. So that puts the Tigers at 12-6 in conference, and it's tying them for third place with Tennessee. Texas is still in the lead at 16-2, and then Arkansas is 13-5, right there in second place. But that's kind of where LSU stands in the conference as far as conference records. And when you drop a game like the Saturday game, it's very easy as a fan to be disappointed. You know, you focus on all the flaws that you saw from your team, and the everything good that LSU did the first 2 games of the series where you won start to kind of fade away. And we have high expectations for LSU, and I'll be the first one to say it that I don't necessarily care about winning the series. I look at this as I care about total SEC wins because, you know, ultimately the first goal is to get into the postseason, to host, but this team has positioned themselves to be a top 8 seed. So, when you drop a game to Alabama that after the first 2 games, it looks like you've got a chance to sweep. It is a little bit of a bummer, but if we're being honest, I don't know that I ever felt from the first inning of game 3 that was a series that it looked like we were going to sweep. So, but look, there's not too many SEC fan bases that you're going to find right now that is elated about how their teams are doing. You look at Arkansas. Arkansas has dropped now 2 straight conference series. Tennessee has lost back-to-back home conference series. Georgia goes and gets swept at Vandy. Auburn gets swept at Texas. So there's a lot of teams right now that are sitting there kind of bummed out. Well, LSU won their series, so that's at least something to be happy about. And look, these teams I'm talking about, these are teams that are towards the top of the standings in the SEC, or if nothing else, projected, not just regional, but top 8 seeds. So, and look, when we talk about, we're going to talk more about how LSU is positioned and what it looks like down the home stretch. But first, let's jump into the recap. So, game 1 of the series, which was played Thursday night, LSU scored 10 runs over the final 3 at bats to get an 11-6 win. And they're up 1-0 in the series, which is great because you're just coming off of 3 straight losses at Auburn, and you needed to get that first win. Trailing into the late innings, the offense just really came to life, led by a pinch hit 3-run home run from Ashton Larson. In the 6th inning, you get a 3-run homer by Monster Milam in the 7th, and then you get a 2, which took the lead, and then you get a 2-run bomb in the 8th inning by Ethan Fry that gave LSU a little cushion. So 3 big home runs, and we talked last week about the need for the homer and how big, this team was missing out on the long ball. And this is a great game, as far as evidence is concerned, to show what hitting home runs can do for you and how it can change the outcome of the game. So Cade Anderson and Kason Evans combined for 8 innings. And then you had 3 other LSU pitchers combined for the remaining 3 outs. So, look, Bama took an early lead. Cade Snell, who I said in the preview that I have nightmares about this guy, he lived up to it all series long. But he gets Bama off to a 1-0 lead with a home run in the 1st inning. Bottom of the 1st, LSU does a great job getting Derek Curiel to 3rd with 1 out. But then Faye throws 5 straight strikes and escapes the inning. You get like a strikeout by Jared Jones, and then Dickinson popped up. In the top of the 2nd, you could really tell that Cade Anderson was on. Hodo, Torres, Staten, they all struck out, and they were all different pitches. Hodo struck out on an 88-mile-an-hour slider. Torres went down on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and then Garrett Staten went down on an 80-mile-per-hour curveball. So he showed two different speeds of curveball, a good fastball, and he looked really, really good. Top of the third, Brady Neal continued this deal of, former LSU players really sticking it to LSU. He hits a home run on a hanging curveball to put Bama up 2-0. Bottom of the third, you get back-to-back hits. Stanfield gets a double. Curiel gets an RBI double to drive him in. And then an error by the right fielder allows Curiel to advance to third. So you have, I think, a runner on third with maybe one out, or we were in good shape. And then Ethan Fry and Jared Jones both struck out. So you're up down 2-1 at this rate. Bottom of the fourth, had two on after a single by Dickinson and Braswell. Luis Hernandez went down with another strikeout to lefty Matthew Heiberger. And he relieved, I think it's Tyler or Taylor Fay, earlier in the fourth inning. Fifth inning, bottom of the fifth, Anderson blew through the 6, 7, and 8 hole hitters. Torres and Staten both looked at third strikes. Both were like 94-mile-an-hour fastballs. And what caught my attention was Cade Anderson was visibly frustrated. He threw an 0-2 fastball. That was a strikeout. It was a called strike that the batter took. And you could tell he was upset. And it reminded me of a guy named Kurt Ainsworth, who I played ball with. And I remember this. At the time, I'm a guy who's a decent college player. Kurt Ainsworth was elite. And he would wind up going on to play at LSU and be awesome and then go on to the major leagues. But I remember him pitching against a team, and he was just blowing them away. I mean, I was in the dugout because it wasn't my day pitching. And he was just striking everybody out. And I remember on a couple of occasions him kind of getting upset and kind of like, letting out a grunt or something on his way into the dugout. And I was like, what is this dude doing? They can't touch him. He is striking out everybody. But again, these guys that they're it's a different standard. They're not just looking for results, man. They're trying. They know for them to execute and to be the player that they want to be, they might get away with it at some points, but like, I just love to see that from Cade Anderson, that, he's a perfectionist, and it's not good enough just to get a strikeout. And I think Jay Johnson has a saying that, you play for, it's maybe you play above, wins and losses. You're playing to a standard, something like that. And that's what I saw out of Cade Anderson. Love to see that. So I think the end result of the game in game one, and when you look at Cade Anderson's line, it can get lost just how well he pitched, because you see the score of the game when he exited. But let me point this out. Top of the sixth inning, Bama has a runner on first and second. No, just a runner on first, and there's 2 outs. Cade Anderson just retired Justin LeBron, and he sits at 79 pitches with Cade Snell stepping into the box. Now, at this point, Anderson had gone 5 2/3 inning. He had surrendered just 3 hits, allowed 0 walks, struck out 10, and he'd given up 2 earned runs. That's very impressive. 3 batters later, Anderson's knocked out of the game, and LSU is down 5-1. Just like that. I mean, he was cruising, and it looked like another one of these just epic Cade Anderson starts. And, you get a home run from Snell. Bonamolo then hits a home run. Hodo doubles, and he's out the game. And he's replaced with Jacob Myers. And really, the home run by Bonamolo was the 4th of the game. And it was the 12th home run that Cade Anderson's given up this season. 15 of Cade Anderson's 26 runs he's allowed have come from home runs. That's a pretty amazing stat. I think Cade Anderson will really appreciate when he gets to pitch in Hoover and hopefully Omaha, because a lot of these fields he's pitching on right now, he throws a lot of strikes and he's just giving up a lot of home runs. I don't want to miss talking about the final out of the sixth inning. Jacob Myers enters the game with runners on second and 2 outs, and he gets behind 2-0 to Torres and drops a nasty slider. I mean, nasty, that Torres whiffed at. And I almost fell out of my seat. He then breaks off another slider, 3-2, and ends the inning with that. He gets the strikeout. And folks, if we are at a point where Jacob Myers can throw 2-0 and 3-2 sliders, the rest of the season is going to be extremely interesting. And Jacob Myers is going to play a huge piece. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, and good for him. Bottom of the sixth, and let me point this out. Baseball is just such a crazy game. It's a sixth inning. LSU comes to bat. Bama's got a 4-run lead. Their pitchers are completely handling the LSU offense over the first 5 innings, allowing just 1 run, striking out 10, and only walking 1 batter. In a matter of 4 pitches, everything changed, and that's a credit to big-time performances from 3 LSU lefties. Jake Brown laid off a 3-2 fastball so he earns a walk. And it was a very close pitch. It was definitely a ball, but it did require some plate discipline, and he had to recognize the location and earn the walk. Josh Pearson then pinch hits and greets the Bama reliever by jumping on a first pitch fastball down and in, a left-handed hitter's dream location, followed by Ashton Larson's pinch hit. He sat on a 0-1 breaking ball. I believe he saw an first pitch breaking ball he took. Guy tried to get another one on him, and he sent it over the right field wall for a 3-run home run. It was just absolute mayhem. So, you're talking about 4 pitches later, the game, the series, and look, not to be too dramatic, but we might look back on this and say the season changed on those 4 pitches. You were headed towards the 4th straight SEC loss, the offense being really bad in 4 games, and just like that, those 3 lefties, came through in a big time way. So LSU's down now 5-4. Top of the 7th, after a hit by pitch, Kason Evans entered the game. And this is the first time I can really remember Jay going to Kason Evans when it wasn't tied or ahead. I take that back. In one of the Texas games, Kason Evans did come in, win behind, but that's only because I believe it was the last game of the series and he hadn't pitched yet, so you had to go to him. But anyway, Bama gets LeBron to the plate with runners on second and third and 2 outs, and Justin LeBron is ahead 2-0. And this is a pretty dangerous situation for Kason Evans. You can't really pitch around LeBron because you got Cade Snell, who is a killer, and he's already hit 2 bombs this game. He's on deck. And the only time he got out, he lined out. Well, Evans bounces a 2-2 slider to load the count. And look, whatever you throw 2-2, you're supposed to throw 3-2. So he comes back with a slider, and he gets LeBron looking. And look, it was a bad call. It was low. But if we're being honest, I think it was a makeup call for a fastball earlier in the count. That was a strike. So, and look, credit to Cade and Arambidi for the way that he stole this pitch, because this was a ball and Cade Arambidi stole it. So, and he caught excellent all weekend long. Bottom of the 7th, you're down 5-4 still, and Ethan Fry is down 1-2 in the count. And he gets his first hit of the game, and now the tying run is on first base. We're going to circle back to Ethan Fry because I think it was really something that we need to talk about, okay? Jones now walks on a 3-2 count. They make a mound visit, and at this time, JT Blackwood's in the game. Jones and Fry both advance to second and third on a wild pitch. Dickinson then flies out. So not great there, but guess what? Stephen Milam, like he's done so many times, comes in clutch, and he hits a home run over the right field wall, and it is now 7-5 LSU. Jake Brown would then single through the right side. And this is the play where I want to point out that Jake Brown, I thought he was great all weekend, but this is a play where after his single, he had one of the great hustle plays of the season because Pearson hits a double play ball that the first baseman throws wide of LeBron and it goes into left field. And Josh Jordan sends Jake Brown from first, comes around third base, sends him home, and he uses every bit of his speed and just a great slide to score right there. And to me, he was one of the players of the game. I mean, his 3-2 walk got the rally started in the sixth, and now the single and the base running. It was just big time right there. So bottom of the eighth, LSU scored 2 more runs to go up 11-5. Curiel singled, and then Ethan Fry homered to right field. And I want to talk about Ethan Fry right here. His first 2 at-bats of the game were pretty bad. Struck out both times, and he did not look comfortable. He made a major adjustment mid-game, which took extreme mental toughness. After really bad at-bats, he then puts together 3 excellent at-bats. In the 5th inning, he was down 0-2 again after the first 2 times striking out, and he works the count back, gets the count back. He fouls off a couple of pitches and winds up earning a walk. His next at-bat is when he leads off the 7th inning. He's down 0-2, winds up getting a single, which paved the way for Milam's homer to go ahead. And now in the 8th inning, he gives LSU some cushion by hitting a home run. One of the better mid-game adjustments that I've seen, and just really great job for him for being mentally tough. Top of the 9th, Bama battled back for a run, closing the gap to 11-6. On account of Connor Binge's free pass parade. Jay Johnson pulled Kason Evans after retiring the leadoff batter, but Binge comes in, he hits the 8-hole, walks the 9-hole, gets a ground ball out, then walks LeBron to load the bases, walks a run in, and then Jay Johnson has to bring in Cowan, who gets Bonamola to fly out. Tigers win. Now, game 2, Anthony Ianson was fantastic. He recorded 12 strikeouts over 6 innings, and LSU wins the game 4-3. Ianson's now 6-1. He limited Alabama to 1 run on 4 hits in 6 innings, 5 walks, kind of a lot, but again, the 12 strikeouts, and he gave you 115 pitches. Good for him. Zach Cowan finally looked human, earning his 6th save of the season. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits over 3 innings, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Chris Stanfield was really the story of the game offensively. He led a 12-hit, attack by LSU, and he went 4 for 4 at the plate. Had a double, 2-run score. Danny Dickinson was 3 for 4. So let's look at the game. In the top of the first, Bama took an early lead for the 2nd straight game. 6 pitches into the game off of Ianson, Bama has 2nd and 3rd with no outs. You had Fowler singled and LeBron doubled. You then got a ground out by Snell, and so they're up 1-0. Up 1-0, and Bama's got 1st and 3rd. Right here, and Ianson gets Hodo swinging for the 2nd out. He walks another guy to load the bases, and then he gets Garrett. He struck out Garrett Staten. So to escape 1-0 right there, it was pretty good, all things considering. Top of the 2nd, Ianson, like he does so often, really settled in. He struck out the side, which made 5 strikeouts out of the 6 outs. Bottom of the 3rd, after getting runners in scoring position, the first 2 at-bats with no luck, LSU got on the board. Dickinson had an RBI single to tie the game. Jones doubled on a 98-mile-per-hour fastball to knock Dickinson in, giving LSU a 2-1 lead. Stanfield led off with a single, stole second, and then he tagged up on a 50-50 fly out, which put him at third with one out. He was electric on the bases and at the plate this weekend. Top of the fourth, Ianson pitched out of traffic. Bama has second and third with one out, and then Ianson strikes out Norton. He walks Fowler, which was a killer because it brought LeBron to the plate with the bases loaded. But Ianson gets a huge strikeout, and it was his second strikeout over LeBron this game. Bottom of the fourth, Braswell leads off with a double. Then Stanfield bloops one into shallow center field. They tried throwing Braswell out at third, and just a really heads-up job of base running by Stanfield. Very alert. He takes second right there. So it's second and third with one out because of his, getting the base hit to begin with, but then the heads-up base running. Curiel comes through with a single, scores both runs. So LSU's up 4-1 right now. And Bama's starter Riley Quick is now knocked from the game. He's done for the day, allowing 4 runs on 8 hits and 3 1/3. Tigers wouldn't score again off of any of Bama's relief pitchers. So top of 5, Ianson allowed a leadoff infield single, but made quick work of Alabama. He gets Bonomo to fly out, and he goes back-to-back Ks on Hodo and Torres. Top of the 6 was another quick inning. He gets 2 strikeouts and a line out. Bottom of the 6, Stanfield leads off with a double. And then the reason that's significant, I want to point it out because I already told you that LSU didn't score again, is because it was his 12th double of the season in SEC play, which ties Tommy White's 12 doubles in 2023 in a full season of SEC play. 12 is the most that any player has hit since Jay Johnson's been at LSU, and Stanfield, did it in at this point, 16 conference games. Stanfield would then go on to get another single and put his average at 404. Even right now, because game 3, he went, I think, 0 for. He's top 5 in the conference right now. I think he sits at 382 batting average. Chris Stanfield, that's something serious. Top of the 7th inning, Bama scratched across a run against Zach Collin, making it 4-2. Bottom of 7th, bottom of 8th, LSU failed to tack on runs. They had runners on second and third with 1 out and bases loaded, 1 out, and Jones struck out for the 3rd out in the 7th, and then he popped up when we really needed a good at-bat there in the 8th. Not good. We'll get back to Jones. Top of the 9th got a little bit scary. Runner on 3rd, no outs. LeBron came up with and he's a tying run at this point. So Cowan struck him out. Snell then hit a sac fly for the 2nd out, bringing the score to 4-3. But that's all they got. So the Tigers win game 2, and they win the series. Now, game 3, Alabama was really set up for game 3. They held their ace, Zane Adams, and they didn't use their closer either of the times in games 1 or 2 where I feel like they could have gone to him, and especially game 1 when they had a lead late in the game, but they didn't go to him. So Zane Adams was good, not overpowering, got his breaking ball in, kind of that back foot breaking ball, and pitched his fastball in on the hands to righties. And he allowed 1 run on 4 hits in 5 innings, only 3 walks. And then Carson Osmer, he worked the final 2 innings, which I had a feeling if he came in the game with a lead that was going to be tough. And he threw 2 innings, earning his 13th save of the year. He did give up 1 run on 1 hit, 5 strikeouts. So we didn't do too well against him. Connor Ware got an unexpected start, which I certainly didn't see over Chase Shores. And he was good. I mean, neither team scored in the first 2 innings, with both pitchers limiting their offenses to a couple of hits each. Top of the 3rd, after allowing a single to his JUCO teammate at Pearl River, Bryce Fowler, Connor Ware is pulled. And Chase Shores enters the game for Ware. Justin LeBron lines out. Snell walks. So Chase Shores walks Snell. And then Richie Bonamolo hits a breaking ball into the left field bleachers. Wasn't hit very hard, but Bama's up 3-0, and they take a lead for the um, third straight game of the series. Bottom of the third, Jared Jones hits a 2-out home run, which closed the gap to 3-1. So it was great to see Jones, hit for some power. Top of the fourth, walks and lack of command have hurt Chase Shores all year and in this game. He goes strikeout, walk, strikeout, then throws a wild pitch, which is significant because it allows the runner that he walks to reach second. So he's now in scoring position. And then Bryce Fowler singles and scores that run. So the walk came back to hurt him. The wild pitch hurt him. So it's 4-1 Bama at that point. Shores gets a weak grounder from Snell that he throws into right field. I mean, this is an out. They wound up giving Snell a single, but he gets all the way to third on throwing error. Brady Neal then comes up, hits a blooper to left field that almost got, Curiel almost caught, but it falls in. So it is now 5-1 Bama. Shore strikes out Torres, but his day's now over. So he gives you 2 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, but 2 walks. I mean, the home run by Bonomo was not hit hard. The wind kind of took it over the fence. The 2-out single by Fowler in the fourth didn't really lead to anything, so it didn't hurt. Snell's single was a slow roller back to Shores that should have been an out. It was a routine out if he makes the throw. And then the bloop single to Neal. I mean, those are the 4 hits he allowed. So I get everybody's mad at Chase Shores and they want him gone, but they didn't really hit him hard at all. But it's getting to a point where the free passes and the runs that he's allowing puts the Tigers behind the 8 ball in the games that he pitches. So more on that a little bit later. But bottom of the 6th, LSU they struck fast. Pearson reached on an errant throw by the second baseman who's kind of playing in shallow right field. And then Jake Brown hits a 2-run pinch hit home run to make it 5-3 Bama. That's the second pinch hit home run of the series. And up to this point, man, Jay Johnson's making all the right moves. Top of the 7th, Maverick Rizzi allowed a 1-out single, and then Jay Johnson went to Cooper Williams because Bama had 4 lefties in a row coming up. Williams looked sharp, and he held Bama scoreless. Top of the 8th, William Schmidt relieves Cooper Williams, and he throws up another 0. So DJ Primo, Maverick Rizzi, Cooper Williams, and William Schmidt put up goose eggs the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. They really did their job. The bottom of the 8th is when, in a 5-3 game, Bama turned to Carson Osmer. He entered, and he made quick work of LSU. But you're still only down 2 runs with another crack at it. Top of the 9th, William Schmidt walks the first 2 batters. And that was big. That was big right there. You needed somebody to be able to go out and at least make them hit you, but you needed a 0 right there. Jaden Newt comes in. He gives up, I think it was a first pitch single, but he gives up a single. So the bases are now loaded with no outs. Newt gets a huge strikeout. I think it was 3-0. And he comes back and he gets a strikeout, I believe, or maybe not. But the next batter, he falls behind 3-0. So you got 1 out, bases loaded, to Brennan Norton, who's been terrible all weekend. I mean, he's a strikeout machine. But because you get behind 3-0, he did work the count back to 3-2. Newt did. But he can't throw anything but a fastball. I mean, he's just, he's not landing anything. So the guy puts a good swing on it. He drives it out to right field for a sac fly, and that's a big run because now it's 6-3. The next 2 batters faced walked, including so Newt walks in a run. Then Jacob Myers comes in, and he's ahead 0-2, but then he walks in a run. I did not like Jacob Myers right there, and I'm going to tell you why. I like Jacob Myers a lot. I've always been a fan, and I love his last 3 times out. I did not love him in this case because that's not really somebody you go to with the bases loaded and nowhere to put a runner. You really want to have an open base or a clean inning where you can afford a walk if he's missing. I just, that's not, and by no means am I second guessing Jay, but I was worried about a walk right there. And to his credit, he got, he's 0-2, but he walked him. So it's 7-3 Bama. Look, bottom of the ninth, Pearson singled and Brown then triples. And that's when things got a little bit weird. So it's 7-4 with a runner on third and no outs. I get that Jay Johnson pinch hit for Tanner Reeves, or he pinch hit for Aaron Beatty because there was all kind of substitutes going on. Tanner Reeves struck out, and he's just been ice cold lately. But then Jay goes to left-handed pitcher Dalton Beck. I'll give it to Beck. His first swing looked good. He was on it, but then he took 2 pitches. He just hasn't seen a lot, and he's up there trying to hit the nation's leader in saves who throws sidearms. So, he goes down swinging, and he pinch hit for Chris Stanfield. So, but, whatever. He believed in the matchup right there, and then Dickinson pops up. The game's over. LSU wins the series again, but that one slipped away. So they win 2 out of 3. The offense was a lot better than the previous week, but it still was not great. They hit 299 overall, which, again, against Auburn, LSU hit 188. So they had 32 hits against Bama pitching. I want to say they only had like 19 hits against Auburn or something like that. So the 5 home runs was really nice to see. Where you continued to struggle was with runners in scoring position. You only hit 189. So you're 7 for 37. And you only hit 133 with 2 outs. So with 2 outs, you were 4 for 30. And then the offense averaged 10 strikeouts per game. I mean, you struck out 30 times over 3 games, which is kind of a lot. Now, you pitched pretty well the first 2 games, especially the 2 starters. You struck out 38 batters. That is a lot, and it takes a lot of pressure off of your defense. And look, LSU only made 1 error all weekend, and I'm pretty sure that was Chase Shore's throwing error. So none of the defensive position players made an error, and that's, a testament to the 38 strikeouts. You held Bama to 22 for 101 batting average. So that's 22 for 101. That's a 218 batting average. You did allow 5 home runs, 4 in one game. But you made big pitches when it matters with runners in scoring position. Bama was only 5 for 24. It's a 2-way clip. So look, you pitched decent. Game 3 wasn't good. And let's do this. Let's address some roles. Chase Shores. Everybody I know watches that game. Chase Shores gives you 2 2/3, and you want somebody to replace Chase Shores. My question is, who else you got? I mean, I just don't know who else you got, because guess what you're not doing? You're not taking Zach Cowan. He had back-to-back saves this weekend. You're not taking Zach Cowan out of the bullpen. You're not taking Kason Evans out of the bullpen. Now, Connor Ware keeps progressing. Maybe that's an option. But again, Connor Ware was very good for his 2 innings or 2 1/3. I mean, his outing before that, he faced 3 batters and walked 2. I like Connor Ware. Maybe it's better for him starting instead of the pressure of coming in out of the pen. But I don't know. But who else do you have? I think that Chase Shores starting, because look, he can be a slow starter. I'd rather him maybe start the game and take a couple innings or an inning to get going. But I don't know who else you got. And as you watch the totality of LSU's bullpen, if you're really being honest, you might come to the same conclusion. And look, Chase Shores with just a 4.5 conference ERA makes LSU an almost impossible team to beat in a 3-game series. Shores in his 6 SEC outings is only averaging 3 2/3 innings or 11 outs. So, not giving you a whole lot. Teams are scoring 3 runs against him. So that's a 7.59 ERA is where Chase Shores is in conference right now. All you need Shores to do, and this is not a big change, is to give you 1 more out per outing. So instead of 3 2/3, to give you 1 more out, which is 4 innings, and shave 1 run off of his outing. I promise you, if you go back and look at every Chase Shores outing, I bet you can. I know because I've looked. You can trace a run back to walks or lack of command. That's something that if he can tighten up on the free passes, you're at the 4.50 conference ERA. I mean, and if you can hand the ball off in the 5th inning of game 3 to one of your bullpen arms and the other team only has 2 runs on the board, I like LSU's chances. So LSU right now is allowing 5.1 runs in Sunday games or in game 3s right now. So I don't think this is like out of the realm of possibility for Chase Shores to give you 1 additional out per outing and shave off 1 run. How does he do this? It's command. It's command, command, command. I would work all week on Chase Shores working on his fastball down and in to right-handed hitters and throwing inside to lefties. That's what I would do. Don't be too cute with all the breaking balls and, hanging sliders that get hit over the fence and spiking them. When you throw 96 to 98 and, you've got that kind of sink, it's command. If he commands his fastball just like Connor Binge, all right, just like Maverick Rizzi, you could give those guys 1 pitch, and if you locate it, right-handed hitters aren't going to do anything with it at all. So you don't need a whole lot from Chase Shores to really turn this thing around. But I just, as far as replacing him, I'll go back and say, you want to go TBA on Sundays, and if you don't use Cowan or Evans, start one of those guys, go ahead. But more times than not, you need Cowan and Evans in those first 2 games to win. And I think Shores is really your best option still. Now let's move on. Cooper Williams has to be a major part of this deal going forward. I've talked about him week after week, and I think we can now see the type of talent he has, and he's getting a lot of confidence. I mean, he's throwing fastballs in on the hands of lefties. His breaking ball has always been good. He can go change up to righties. He's got very good stuff, and he feels comfortable. Jacob Myers, in the right moment, he is now a key piece of this thing. Again, you got to be able to either risk a walk, or give him some leeway. Like, don't put him in there when, you can't, if he can walk in a run or something like that. But he's a key piece going forward. And really, at this point, with Tennessee coming to town, you can confidently send the following bullpen arms out to the mound. In the right situation, that is. Cowan Evans, obviously, Rizzi, Williams, and then, Ware and Myers. I mean, those are guys that if you can afford a walk and maybe they get there, but I like those 2 guys. And look, you still have guys like Binge, Newt, Primo, and Schmidt that it simply comes down to command. But, that's enough. That's enough arms. As I look around the SEC, it's not like every team's got 10 guys. And when I preview Tennessee, I think you're going to be very surprised to see what that bullpen looks like and what their key arms are looking like right now. So I mentioned now the defense, 1 error all weekend. That's a testament to the strikeouts of the pitching. So, you get the win. So top performers, Derek Curiel was 5 for 13. Dickinson had a great weekend. He was 7 for 14. Ethan Fry, 3-for-9 with a homer. Jake Brown, 3-for-5 in limited action with a triple and a home run. Michael Braswell was 3-for-8. And I like Michael Braswell right now. For the second straight weekend, Chris Stanfield was 5-for-10, hit 500 on the weekend. Now, not so top performers, LSU's catchers. LSU catchers went 0-for-6 with 6 strikeouts this weekend. And they are on an 0-for-15 with 10 strikeouts SEC streak right now, going back, I don't remember what it was, how many SEC games it was, if it was 5 or 6. 0-for-15 with 10 strikeouts. I mean, that's just not going to cut it. Jared Jones, not so hot right now. 2-for-11 with 6 strikeouts. Stephen Milam, 1-for-13 this weekend. In order for LSU to make a run, they are going to need their best players to play a lot better. Jared Jones and Stephen Milam are capable of carrying this LSU's offense. We saw it early in the year where they would have a week stretch, like the week where they played, I think, in Frisco and then the DBU, where they both were going like 7-for-11. There was like 2 weekends straight they were doing that. You need them to get going right now. Milam is currently hitting 200 in conference play. He's like an 0-for-2 with like a walk game away from batting in the low 190s. And he is so much better than that. And look, if this offense was going crazy, that would be one thing. But the offense has not been scoring a ton of runs. Like very seldom do they have multiple conference games where they score above 5 runs. So Jared Jones is hitting 244 in conference with 2 home runs. 7 of his last 9 wait. This is a stat you're not going to believe. 7 of the last 9 SEC games have been multi-strikeout games for Jared Jones. That's wild. And heck, he has struck out twice in 2 of the last 3 midweek games as well. So Louisiana Tech strikes out twice. Nichols strikes out twice. So it's not that he's just striking out. He's striking out like multiple times, in lots of games. So he's a great hitter. Like you don't go from the plate discipline and the way he's been hitting to nothing. Look, the guy's still hitting like an incredible, 345, something like that on the year with tons of RBIs and a great hitter, but he's just feeling it right now. So now I mentioned the struggles of the catchers are having. Hernandez and Aaron Beatty. You got to get production from at least one of the following 2 positions, catcher and third base. Now, Brazzy's doing a great job right now. He's hitting 324 in the 15 games he's played in conference. But, like, if he's got a bad weekend and the catchers stay slumping, that makes it really easy on opposing pitching staffs. You got to, at least get, some bunting, hit and run. I mean, out of the catching position. And look, Tennessee's playing horrible defense right now, and they can't stop anyone from running. I want to say they gave up 20 stolen bases in like 2 games, or I know it was 10 in 1 game. It's bad. So you're going to need, like, if the guys aren't coming through, and I think at some point Hernandez is going to get back on track, but you just need a little production from those guys. Now, Bama's top performers, I talked about it in the preview, make anybody but Snell, Bonamolo, and LeBron beat you. Now, LeBron didn't have a good weekend. LeBron was 1-for-13 with 5 strikeouts, but Snell was 5-for-8 with 2 home runs, 8 doubles, 6 RBIs, 4 bases on balls. I mean, he was excellent. Bonamolo was 4-for-13 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Fowler was 5-for-12. So those guys just really did well against you. So let's talk about where are we in the race for a top 8 seed right now? Tennessee is 12-6. They're a top 8 seed currently, okay? You've got those guys coming up. You're at A&M, who's 8-10, and their winners are 7 of their last 8. You're at home against Arkansas, who's 13-5. They're a top 8 right now. And then you're at South Carolina, who's 4-14. At 12-6, I think that LSU needs to win 7 more games. And you don't want to have to sweep at South Carolina to reach the 19 wins. So you would like to get 5 wins over the next 3 weekend series. And that will not be easy. Now, in order to go 5-4, you will have to win 2 of these next 3 series and not get swept. You do that, and I like your chances a lot of being a top 8 seed. But again, you're shooting for 19 wins right now. The good thing is that, and we'll talk about this past weekend, some of the projected top 8 seeds did not have good weekends at all. And so here's the deal. I mean, typically it takes 19 wins, in my opinion, to get a top 8 seed. But if everybody else keeps beating up on each other, maybe it's only 18. Either way, you can't go 3-6 over the next 3 series, which that would not be a crazy thing with the 3 opponents you got coming up. But, that would put you at 15 wins with having to go to South Carolina. And if that's the case, even a sweep puts you at 18. So that, you don't want that. But the good news is that, number 1, Texas, and I'm talking about seeds, not rankings. These are the top 8 seeds. And why I keep talking about top 8 seed is that means you don't only host a regional. If you win your regional, you host a super regional. So you're the number 1 seed, Texas, number 3 seed, Clemson, and number 8 seed, Oregon State. They all won their weekend series this past weekend. But number 2, Arkansas, number 4, Tennessee, they both lost home series. Number 5, Georgia, number 6, Auburn, and number 7, Georgia Tech, all got swept. So you're talking about 5 of the 8 top seeds all lost this past weekend. So that's great for LSU. And, look, it comes down to this. If LSU handles their business, when it's all said and done, RPI is going to be fine. And you're going to be winning games. You keep handling your business and winning games, you're going to be fine. But these next 3 weeks are going to be awesome. This is what it's all about. We're going to learn a ton about LSU, and it starts this week, folks. Tennessee is in my opinion, the best rivalry right now in college baseball. I'm excited for this series. The preview is going to be great. Do not miss the preview. I've spent a lot of time. I live in Knoxville. I know this team more than just the stats. And so I'm going to put a lot of effort into the preview. And so don't miss it. Tigers have a midweek game coming up against, I believe it's Northwestern. And then, you got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against Tennessee at the box. And it's going to be electric. So we're going to wrap with that. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside LSU Baseball. As always, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to join us and listen to the podcast. Just really appreciate y'all. So we will talk to you again after the midweek and get you ready for Tennessee. Thanks so much.